la bomba, no me da la capital. Ay, que viva Cuba libre, que esto sí es la verdad. Lo que me da la bomba, no me da la capital. Eres bastante bonita, que se llama tu bomba. Lo que te da la bomba, no me da la capital. Soberanía, libertad, lo que me da la bomba. Alegría, alegría, ay, alegría que me da, todo lo que me da la bomba, no me da la capital. Soberanía, libertad, soberanía, libertad, lo que me da la bomba, no me da la capital. Que venga a bailar mi bomba, que baila tu libertad, lo que te da la bomba, no te da la capital. Soberanía, libertad, lo que me da la capital. Ahora aquí con mi bomba voy a bailar, ay, lo que me da la bomba, no me da la capital. Soberanía, libertad, soberanía, libertad, lo que me da la bomba, no me da la capital. Soberanía, libertad, soberanía, libertad. Es la pura libertad. Soberanía, libertad, soberanía, libertad. Lo que me da la bomba, no me da la capital. Ahora aquí, con mi bomba voy a gozar. Lo que me da la bomba, no me da la capital. Soberanía, libertad, soberanía, libertad. Lo que me da la bomba, no me da la capital. Para bailar, ay, qué buena esta bomba, lo que te da la bomba, no te da la capital. Pura libertad. Soberanía, la libertad, soberanía, la libertad. Ay, lo que me da la bomba, no me da la capital. Soberanía, libertad, soberanía, libertad. Lo que me da la bomba, no me da la capital. Es mi bomba y también la tranquilidad. Ay, lo que me da la bomba, no me da la capital. Soberanía, libertad, soberanía, libertad. Lo que me da la bomba, no me da la capital. Ay, esta bomba yo, ay, la bomba que va a sonar. Ay, lo que te da la bomba, no te da la capital. Soberanía, libertad, soberanía, libertad. Lo que me da la bomba, no me da la capital. Levántate, mi gente, que llegó la libertad. La buena, buena bomba, ay, mi bomba boricua. Soberanía, libertad, soberanía, libertad. Lo que me da la bomba, no me da la capital. te da la capital. La bomba da la capital. Ay, lo que te da la bomba no me da la capital. Lo que te da la bomba no me da la capital. Baila esta bomba, ay, baila la libertad. Lo que da la bomba me da la capital. Ay, lo que da la bomba no me da la capital. Lo que me da la bomba me da la capital. Ay, no me da la bomba, me da la capital. Me da la bomba, no me da la capital. Lo que te da la bomba no me da la capital. Me da la bomba, no me da la capital. Ay, se da la bomba, ay, la bomba libertad. Me da la bomba, me da la capital. Lo que le da la bomba no me da la capital. Me da la bomba, me da la capital. Ay, no me da la capital. No me da la capital. Bombaoneo, ¿qué dice? Bombaoneo, ay, cangalí. Bombaoneo, 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 ay, mamula, ay, cangatukina. Nice dancing, man. Beautiful. Gotta keep dancing. Gotta keep dancing. Don't stop now. Right? Thank you. Thank you. Hey, bomba nene. So just that song. It's also, you know, it's not a new song. You know, it's really about the Haitian Revolution, and so this song was documented in the Black Jacobins. Was talking about 1791 and the uprising. So this song Bomba One One is documented in that book, and it talks about that. And so I want to just say, you know, thank you for that dance, because that was a big part of that movement too, when they were dancing during those, you know, those nights in the fire camps. This was part of that revolution, was their music, their drumming. And so this was them getting ready for that battle. Thank you. Thank you. Puerto Rico libre, hoy lo declaré, ay, hoy lo declaré, hoy lo declaré.
Puerto Rico libre, yo lo declaré.
Ay, hoy lo declaré, hoy lo declaré.
Puerto Rico libre, yo lo declaré.
Puerto Rico libre, hoy lo declaré.
Puerto Rico libre, yo lo declaré.
Ay, suéname esta bomba, suéname la bien.
Puerto Rico libre, yo lo declaré.
Puerto Rico libre, hoy lo declaré.
Puerto Rico libre, yo lo declaré.
Ay, lo que quiero mi bomba y hoy lo declaré.
Puerto Rico libre, yo lo declaré.
Puerto Rico libre.
Puerto Rico libre, yo lo declaré.
Ay, que viva Cuba libre y yo lo declaré.
Puerto Rico libre, yo lo declaré.
Ay, que viva mi Europa, pueblo de Caribe. Ay, que viva Cuba libre, mi pueblo de Caribe. Ay, que viva Fidel Castro, pueblo de Caribe. Pueblo de Caribe, pueblo de Caribe. Puerto Rico libre, yo lo declaré. Yo lo declaré, hoy lo declaré. Puerto Rico libre, declaré. ¡Ah! ¡Bomba!
We just want to thank you so much. Mi gente, thank you so much. Just especially a special thanks for supporting and especially Cuba being a stand for Puerto Rico's self-determination always. Always. Siempre. Gracias.
Thank you so much to Bombayo. We've been running late all day today, and it's no exception right now. Our Cuban delegation that we are so happy to have with us is currently, we took them out to dinner. They got stuck in a little traffic. They're finishing up their meal now, and then they're going to be coming over. We do have some special guests from the mission that are here. Ambassador Yuri Gala, Sister Yamila Premio, Counselor Yvonne Casal, but we have more coming. So we are going to have some music, I think, or I'm going to give over the meeting to Allison. We're going to continue, and Shaquille, we're going to continue with the program, but our Cuban guests are coming, some of our main speakers. So thank you. Hello. Can everybody start to take their seats, please? Everybody take their seats, please. My job tonight is to call this wonderful rally to order as part of the weekend International US-Cuba Normalization Conference. My name is Ike Mayhem, and on behalf of the US-Cuba Normalization, New York, New Jersey, Cuba Sea Coalition, and all the dozens and dozens of organizations in New York, around the US, Canada, and the world that have endorsed this gathering, which has not only been physically coming out and rallying, which we haven't been able to do for a while, but also doing live streaming, which hundreds and hundreds of people attended and are attending this also. So, before I introduce our wonderful co-chairs for the evening that will introduce this great program that we have, I just wanted to say a couple of things about the historic, hallowed ground that we are on today. We know that people that come from out of town, we wanted to do something special. It's special for us in New York because we're lucky enough to have our Cuban sisters and brothers that are at the United Nations. We think us to take advantage in organizing anti-blockade and Cuba solidarity activities. But a lot of you folks from around the country that come in for these conferences that we organize are not able to have Cubans come to your cities as regular exchanges. And we're fighting to expand those possibilities. But we know for those that were coming in that we wanted to give you something special to remember. So, and that's this Malcolm X and Dr. Betty Shabazz Memorial and Educational Center. This is held just in the history. This was once upon the day the famous, in its own way, Audubon Ballroom. It was a premier space in New York City for public speaking, going back many years. Malcolm X spoke here often. After his split from the Nation of Islam, this became one of the venues where he regularly spoke and presented his independent political and religious outlook. And this is the place where the cowardly assassins murdered him.
Shame.
This is the hallowed ground. Now, there's more to this story. Back in the 1980s, I believe, Brother Zaid or somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, Columbia University, which owned this property, they wanted to turn it into yet another dime a dozen condos for rich people in New York City. But a community struggle developed in the Black community, among Columbia students, among historical preservationists, and we won that struggle. And the result is just beautiful. Last thing I want to say is this. I think everybody in this room knows that Malcolm X was a fervent supporter of the Cuban Revolution. Everybody knows that when the Cuban Revolution abolished Jim Crow segregation in Cuba, that bold act, 5 years before the Civil Rights Bill Act and the Voting Rights Act in the United States, that bold revolutionary act and the fights against racism in Cuba attracted a whole layer of revolutionary-minded Black intellectuals
and leaders of the civil rights movement and the Black struggle. And they embraced the Cuban Revolution, and to this day, that continuity exists in the Black community in New York City and around the United States, where some of the greatest sympathizers. So anyway, I probably spoke more than I should. The chair's about to kill me, but I really thought it was important for people to know where we are tonight. So thank you very much, and enjoy a great program.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Shapel Fano, one of the co-chairs of the National Network on Cuba. I'm Allison Bogan, the clandestine movement for social justice, Friends of Cuba Against the US Blockade, Vancouver, and the US-Cuba Normalization Conference Committee. Welcome. We have a dynamic program today. Amazing day of learning, growing, planning, pushing, moving, and we'll continue to agitate and fight against US imperialism. We're so grateful to have you here with us this evening. Thank you for your travel, your participation, your solidarity. Can we get a round of applause for our Cuban delegation? So we're not up here alone, we're just here to welcome you all, and I want to quickly end with a quote from Malcolm X. The only way we'll get freedom for ourselves is to identify ourselves with every oppressed people in the world. We are blood brothers to the people of Brazil, Venezuela, Haiti, Cuba, yes, Cuba too. So we're here, Cuba, sí, Blockade, no. Let's get ready for a fantastic program this evening. Allison, you're up. All right, thank you, Shapel. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. We're not only have been gathered in this room, we're also live online. There are many people across the United States, Canada, and around the world watching the program tonight. Here with us at the Malcolm X and Betty Shabazz Center, celebrating Cuba and recommitting ourselves to defeating this criminal blockade, to taking Cuba off of the U.S. list of state sponsors of terrorism. That is going to happen with our united efforts. We will win. Venceremos. This is what tonight is about. So, without further ado, we'll start with our program. I'll let you know. We have music tonight. We have people who come here from Puerto Rico, from Cuba, from right here in New York City. We also will have a time tonight, hopefully, to dance at the end, enjoy our time with one another. Of course, have another session of the conference tomorrow to talk about our action plan in the coming period. I hope you have enough energy tomorrow for that. I know we will after gaining so much inspiration tonight. So I thank you all. I also want to shout out Bomba Yo. They did an incredible job of setting the tone tonight. They're always on call to participate in actions in solidarity with Cuba, demanding freedom for Puerto Rico as well, and independence for Puerto Rico, and are always just there to support the movement. So we really are grateful to Bamba Yo, also DJ Spirit Child. Thank you. And we look forward to hearing more of you. We're going to start first by welcoming our Cuban guests, and we have a special greeting in which to welcome them. I want to invite up Mary Alice Waters. She is a leader in the Socialist Workers' Party, president of Pathfinder Press, and author of the book Women in Cuba, The Making of the Revolution Within the Revolution. And she is going to help us introduce our Cuban guests tonight. Mary Alice Waters.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you. And it's a real honor to be able to to be asked to say a few words to introduce. Sorry, okay. No, it's a real honor to be asked to introduce our human guests here this evening. Okay, there, okay. I gotta get this. Okay, and the three Cuban guests from whom that we will be hearing from this evening, beginning with the audio message that we received from Ambassador Llanos Torres Rivas, the Cuban ambassador to the United States. And two of the members of the large delegation that is participating in the UN Commission on the Status of Women. Ismaida Hernandez, who is the member of the Secretariat of the Federation of Cuban Women and the Director of International Relations for the FMC. And Yanina Martinez Freire, who is the Director of the North American Department of the Cuban Institute for Friendship Peoples, which many of you know by the Cuban name ECAP. And many of you have worked with them. And I think we could also say a little thank you to the United Nations for having this commission that organizes every single year around the dates of the International Women's Day to have their annual evaluation of the world status of women. And what better way we have than to celebrate the International Women's Day together with our Cuban sisters and brothers who are here with us. In welcoming you on the street this evening, I want to make just three brief points, and I will keep you as brief as possible because of the hour, and because we want to hear our main speakers this evening. I don't think the importance of the example of the 60 years of the record of the road that has been followed by the Cuban Revolution and led by the FMC in large part. I don't think we can exaggerate the importance of that. There's nothing like it ever in history, in history of the working class movement, or in the revolutionary movement more broadly. That length of time and what they have accomplished, what they changed those years. Fidel, in the speaking to the second Congress of the Federation of Cuban Women in 1964, made the point that he said, on the way one way our revolution will be judged in years to come is how well we have resolved the problems facing women in our society and in our country. And of course, he was absolutely correct on that. The status of women in any society, in any country, is always a measure of humanity's progress. But that road also, it's very important to always remember that if that was a clear course that was charted first and foremost by Fidel as the leader of the revolution. But not only by him, there were many others in the leadership of the Cuban Revolution at the very beginning, like Abel Santa Maria, Frank Pais, Armando Hart, Raul Castro, and others, who had the same understanding as Fidel did of the importance of the struggle of women, bringing them into the revolutionary struggle. And of course, there was one of the other things that distinguishes the Cuban Revolution from anything else in foreign history is that the number of women who were part of the central leadership of that revolutionary struggle. The names of people that you know, like Vilma Espín, Celia Sanchez, Celia de los Santos, to say nothing of Melba Hernandez and Ida Santa Maria. That is exceptional because the passage of time, partially has made it possible, but it was the leadership of the Cuban Revolution. And what the way that was embodied in the course for the struggle for women's equality, that was fundamental. And that was from the very first days when Fidel insisted that women would be part of the assault on Moncada, and insisted that Ida Santa Maria and Melba Hernandez would be part of that, because of the example it would set for the future and for that moment. In the Sierras, when Fidel insisted on the formation of the Mariana Grajales women's platoon. It took on major parts of the leadership of the rebel army to win that, to establish that. A meeting of 7 hours arguing this question, where the men were asking, why should you give weapons to the women when we don't have them? And he said, because you're better soldiers. That's why they're going to get them. And that's what he did. It was in those moments that many of the founders of the FMC will tell you, or did tell us, that's when the FMC was really founded, when that platoon took the field. And this continued, the rectification process, the international missions, like sending the women's contingent to Angola, the women's anti-aircraft artillery unit to Angola, and telling the assembled African ambassadors who were listening to that, you may be thinking that we don't have enough men to send, and that's why we have to send women. But no, we are doing this because of a moral responsibility. It's a revolutionary responsibility.
That's right.
That is the course. That's right. Not separating women from the struggle for women, but making an inseparable expression of and axis of the revolution. Leading first with the participation of women in that revolutionary struggle. You have to remember two things. Cuba in the 1950s was a country where it was men didn't like to see women going out by themselves on the street. You didn't go shopping. And only the percentage of the working class, only 13% of women were part of the working class. And of those, the overwhelming majority were domestic workers, some 70,000, most of them Black, who worked for as little as 20 cents a day, and often even for less, for just room and board, which could be a mat on the floor and whatever was left over on the table. That was the Cuba in which the revolution triumphed. And from the beginning, Yolanda Ferrer, one of the former general secretaries of the Federation of Cuban Women, said from the very first day of the Cuban Revolution, that what it meant to be a woman in Cuba changed, and that was the course. In 30 years, they accomplished what it had taken women and men fighting in what became the advanced imperialist countries 150 years to come in terms of the numbers of women employed in the jobs and so forth, and many of the other indicators of the status quo. And many of you will have seen, heard, or read recently an article that appeared in the New York Times, Washington Post, several about the closure, the massive closure going on right now of medical hospitals and medical centers in rural areas, including the maternity wards and birthing facilities. To me, it just immediately reminded me of the fact that in Cuba, of course, this was one of the first acts of the revolution, was getting medical care into the mountains, into the rural areas, and establishing it's precisely the kinds of maternity wards and so forth for women that they're closing down now massively. If there's a domestic face of U.S. capitalist class, it is the closing of those centers. And as the international face is what is happening, what is being carried out in the policy of the U.S. government against Cuba. There's no road forward for women without it being part of that overall struggle of the working class and revolutionary clothes and the dealing with women as part of the family, and what needs to be done to make it possible for women to work with child care, literacy campaign, jobs, health care, electricity, etc., etc. My second point, and this is much brief. This course has been a revolutionary hallmark of the FMC from the very beginning. If the, in the second, I mentioned earlier that, yes, the FNC, the Mariana Howard's platoon was part of the beginning. Also part of the beginning was the second front in the Sierras, which is an area that was as big as the state of Wisconsin, in which they began the whole process of opening the schools, educating women, and establishing the character, the social character of the revolution that were followed, and what triumphed with the victory and with the defeat of the Batista army a few months later. They opened more than 400 schools. Finally, our job here, that must always be the center of our attention, to get out the truth about what a socialist revolution opens to look. When they hear lies, more lies, it's what people are fed with here. To get the job before us is a political job overall. It's what the imperialist rulers do not want us to know about Cuba and the example that they are setting, and that is why they have sought out to crush the Cuban Revolution from the very first day, because of the example of this that is what we are addressing here, because we can celebrate together tonight the fact that policy of the U.S. ruling class has not succeeded. It has failed. And our job here is to never let up till we have won every single aspect, every single stone of that policy of brutal and inhumane policy directed towards trying to crush the revolutionary spirit. We must make sure that is eliminated, and that is what we're celebrating here tonight. And it's in that spirit that we will be listening to the messages that we receive from our Cuban sisters.
So before we hear from our Cuban sisters, we have a special presentation to them. The RBG girls are going to come and turn it up for us. Come on, girls.
Just ran downstairs. They're coming right now. Come on, y'all. Good evening, brothers and sisters. Oh, I just I'd like to give us a moment for the RBG girls. And just really briefly, RBG stands for. All right, see, I ain't got to explain nothing, y'all are born it. I am Sister Myrna, representing the Ox Giving Collective, coming out from Brooklyn, hands on. Like you said, let's do some call and responses, or y'all finish the response. Hands off. Hands off Cuba, that's right. Freedom what? Freedom. Hands off. Freedom. Hands off. Freedom. Hands off. Power to. Power to. Power to. Freedom. Hands off. You gotta get it together. Hands off. Freedom. Power to. Power to. Freedom. Hands off. Power to. Freedom. Hands off. Power to. Freedom. Hands off. Power to. Freedom. Give me silver hand. Y'all want to point? Right on time, the RBG girls is in the building. One of the youngest members, ready to take the mic. Giving thanks to the Spirit Soul Child. Thank you so much. Thank you, Brother Chef, for the opportunity. And we want to take this time also to recognize our ancestors, all of our ancestors, but most importantly, Baba Honorable Malcolm X and Dr. Betty Shabbat.
Peace, everybody. How's everybody feeling tonight?
Yeah.
Good. So intro. Okay, my name is Nia. I'm 29. My name is Ty. Hey.
My name is Miss Cadet and I am 8 years old. My name is Shahab.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't. I'm sorry.
I can do some.
How do we go back next round?
How do you go
Back next round?
I say every all time. How do you go back next round? I say every all time. Those who what? All time. I say every all time.
Turn up, y'all. Turn the hip-hop down. Move to the rhythm of the waste of time. Stop the speak. Do the let it be the real deal. The media is talking about the people. Stop taking us in the street. Y'all they work. That's cheap. So survive. How you gonna they survive? Number one, like John said. Number one, Margaret John said. Number one, Margaret John said. Let us be like generation group don't understand the program. Legislation and bring that time to class. That's me. But no, it's wrong. We're trying to get away. Every day, every time, so down to everything. This is like each round. Going to believe in me. Create one time. Training with better. Don't really trust. I'm trying to feel like I'm proud. Come from guys. Early life, trying to save the world. Legal people who arrest all about being free. People like Malcolm, check it out. One of us about genocide. People like Malcolm, one of us about genocide. People like Malcolm, genocide. One of us about genocide. People like Malcolm, everybody. One of us about genocide. Okay. What? What's really going on? It's part of the mind, just don't get. Got it right, because I heard everybody black and white. Always force myself to speak. I got faith in us. Everything we do, we will teach, support one another. We're all we need. Not anti-generation, but I'm a pro-black. When I guess anyone not anything, that cries for the black. That's me. We're gonna take too long, get time to get late. And we get it too much, so down for everything. How you gonna make the black nation run? I said, all the time. How you gonna make the black nation run? I said, all the time. How you gonna make the black nation run? I said, all the time. We'll do what? All the time. I said, all the time. How you gonna make the black nation run? I said, all the time. How you gonna make the black nation run? I said, all the time. How you gonna make the black nation run?
I say all night. How we gonna do the black next month? I say all night. How we gonna do the black next month? I say all night. Gonna do what? RPG. Yeah, you know me. What's RPG? That's a red light and green. That's how I be. Who is me? But that's it. Like it green. That's a name. Like it green. I'm black out to the state. Really. Solidarity. I feel love is the reality. All my answers lie in with me. Period. Not gonna end guard. And that's that comes to revolutionary kind of be. You gotta be a young revolutionary. One woman, my people from the motherland. It's time for revolution. I know you understand. Messages to the black woman and black man. Follow in your hand. Now raise the follow in your hand. Who wants the RPG? Yeah, you know. The RPG. Yeah, you know. The RPG. Yeah, you know. What RPG? That's a rap like a drink. Yeah, you know. RPG. Yeah, you know. RPG. Yeah, you know. What RPG? That's a rap like a drink. RPG. Yeah, you know. RPG. Yeah, you know. RPG. Yeah, you know. What RPG? That's a rap like a drink. Hey, y'all. Because I want to see RPG. No, who is he? That's how we gotta do the victory. Educate organize so we get free. Don't see everything that's free. Brainwash the speaking all of history. Straight from African countries. Make us be real. My grandma cannot stop growing up. Black girls who was back. Melanin all down from my chest. I'm ready to let the first brother up to time. That's how I see it. I'm not going to get this full time. What? White people carry. That's what they ever been on. RPG show. Black power building up the nation. I always been on. RPG show. Black power building up the nation. They always been on. RPG show. Black power building up the nation. They always been on. RPG show. Black power building up the nation. Yes. Let's see. Like what's free? Y'all know what's free? All right, we're gonna say what's RPG. What's free? I'm a generation that black and free. So I have to put together we need one currency. Service systems we need two until the revolution will pay true. What's free? African liberation that black and free. So I have to put together we need one currency. Brothers and sisters, we need you until the revolution will stay true. Come on now. Away to. Come on there. That's what we need. Women, black power. That's what we need. Everybody put your hands on the big ball. We gotta fight it. We gotta ride it. We gotta ride it. We gotta ride it. I'm on it. What did you make it? 2023, we couldn't wait. I'm gonna ride it. I'm people trying. I'm really trying. You got me close. They got watching. He was killed for only just walking. They kill our people like all the time. Then they found that just like this is not a job. We won't die. We gotta go stop. Colorado people is top fight. Colorado people, we will survive. Colorado people, that's the best time. I like that. Colorado people, that's the best time. I'm only the top. I'm saying when this day say, but I am nothing. I wasn't going to say. I'm on the race. I'm not doing the hate. Yeah, I'm going to say. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to say. I went in the time. I'm not going to say. Sometimes I'm not too late. Come on. people, we got to protect. Come on, black people, we got to protect. What is that? What is that? Come on, black people, we got to protect. Look at the dripping, look at the lifting. So open, management, we got a business, what is protection, we got protection, again. How long will we stand around and let it be? Martin Luther King for the great on the street, they say, that's why we can fight back. Message to the ground to people have to stand. Fight against the federal government, killing in the streets, conducting our military. That's a whole inequality. The American dream might not be reality, but I will say that we will overcome, but we might have to get back to our better outcome. What you said? What you said? I thought we might have to get back to our better outcome. We gotta fight this. We gotta deny it. We are not here to tell us. Give it up for the RBC girls. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being up here tonight. Now, we have a very special messages, as Mary Louise was introduced earlier. And we are now going to be able to listen to them and to hear from our Cuban guests. It's
just let me get it queued up here. I will say that unfortunately, we were going to hear the next message as a video, but we've not had technology on our side tonight. So these things happen. So we're going to hear it as an audio message, but it is a link that I think that we can all still appreciate her words to the conference. I know that she wished very much to be with us here today, and so we are very happy to have with us the Cuban, through her voice, the Cuban ambassador to the United States, doing the difficult work in the belly of the beast along with her team of trying to build a normalization of US-Cuba relations. And we are very appreciative of all of their work that they do from the Cuban Embassy in Washington, D.C. So thank you very much to Leonis Torres Rivera for all of her work. And here is her audio message, again, from the Cuban ambassador to the United States. Thank you.
Of relations between Cuba and the US. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers of this event, which have become a benchmark for the leading and the tireless work carried out by solidarity groups in the US. Your daily struggle to demand an end to the blockade against my country, against the maintenance of Cuba on the list of countries sponsored of terrorism, and against all hostile measures that continue to cause huge damage to our people is today more important than ever. Your efforts to promote resolutions for labor unions, city councils, and political organizations send a powerful message of redemption of that hostile genocidal policy, and represent millions of voices calling for the improvement of relations between both nations. We also appreciate the solidarity and the activism manifested in donations, people-to-people exchanges, public mobilizations, like car caravans, brigades to Cuba, and media initiatives that show that the people of the US repudiate and is against the blockade. The current US policy as Cuba maintained the 243 measures that were taken during the previous administration against our economy, and one of them is the inclusion of Cuban unilateral list, the one that I mentioned before. The main pillar of this policy of maximum pressure is the reinforcement of the blockade, which seeks to generate a situation of permanent crisis in search of a social conflict. During the most difficult moments of the pandemic, I have to say that Cubans we all will remember, US measures hampered our ability to purchase even the most basic goods, such as medicines, which had a huge impact on the life of ordinary Cubans. Dear friends, President Biden promised to his own supporters that he would return in large part to Obama's Cuba policy and lift restrictions on the Cuban people. He, so far, has not fulfilled that promise. We urge our friends in the US to continue with this battle. You are the voice of Cuba in this country, and I want you to know that the Cuban people are grateful for your efforts to guarantee a better future for our countries. So once again, thank you for inviting me here today, and I wish you all the success for this conference. I'm sure you will. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the Cuban ambassador to the United States. Thank you. And now we would like to invite live and in person Ms. Lema Martinez Riede, North American Director of the Cuban Institute of Friendship with the People, aka ICAP. I know that she does that because she loves us. I got the very thing we do to her when she was. Well, thank you so much for the invitation to this symbolic place. I'm not here only on behalf of my comrades from the Cuban delegation. I'm coming also bringing you a big hug on behalf of the many people in Cuba that are also following what is happening in this conference for the normalization of the relationship between the United States and Cuba. And I have some notes that I don't want to forget because the organizing committee of the conference has set a lot of events at the same time, a lot of efforts that requires to have those activities. And you know that we organize a lot of events in Cuba, and we really appreciate all the efforts that it is behind all the sessions that we have today in the morning. I'm here accompanied by the first vice president of the Cuban Institute of Friends with the People, Noemi Cavazza. Ambassador Yuri Gala, from the Embassy of Washington that are also joining us in this important event. And well, now I have to say that you have had 3 ambassadors in your event, so that is important. And not only in the room, but in the internet, and the friends from Canada and for the people that have supported this event. Today, we were all denouncing the policies that have lasted for so long. And some of the comrades at the delegation were not even born when the embargo, the blockade, and the many words that they have used to impose the sanctions on Cuba. So our families and our relatives have had to raise us with that burden over them. So we have to thank our parents and our neighbors who we are. Studied people with health, with conditions in our countries. It is true that we have a lot of hardships, but we are here and we are so that they even though they have to carry that burden over their shoulders. And today, on behalf of ICAD, the Vice President of ICAD was mentioning some historical elements that are the links we have with the United States and specifically with the city of New York. And I had to mention another important historical moment that took place in New York, and it is that Jose Marti, Máximo Gómez, and Antonio Maceo had their first meeting planned a revolution in Cuba here in New York. So it is important that the solidarity movement, it is not only who we are now today, it is generations over generations to trying to build that normalization of the relations between 2 countries that are neighbors. And we are in a very special place, and this is my second time in this place, and it always brings some emotions because we always remember the meeting between Malcolm X and Fidel Castro. And we have to say, well, they had the same meeting with empathy, with sympathy, only 1 year after the triumph of the revolution. So they were having the ability to, only with a few minutes, as our dear Rosemary Billy documented in a book, just a few minutes, but in those few minutes, they were able to talk to emphasize in all those details that they had in common. They had in common the fight for their people, they had in common the ideas of internationalism, and they had in common the unity of the movement so as to succeed in the plans that they both were having for their people. But well, years later, Malcolm was assassinated at the same moment that Cuba was sending a group of people together with Che Guevara to Africa. And that is another element that Malcolm X and Fidel Castro had in common, trying to support the motherland, support Africa, because both of them identify that we were coming from that place and we owe that place all what we can represent. And well, with these all things in common, we have to follow the legacy of those two leaders. That legacy is what we are trying to build today and tomorrow in the conference for the normalization of the relationship between the United States and Cuba. That legacy is to work united. That legacy is to create new initiatives as we, the Cuban delegation was trying to say in each of the rooms, we need new initiatives because the sanctions are increasing against Cuba. So it is time to have more advanced coalitions, more advanced articulations among the different solidarity movements from the United States and from the different regions. It is important not only to make noise, but to make noise in the specific places that can make the policies change against Cuba. So I have here another comrade that will also talk about the empowerment of Cuban women, and that is Osmaida, and I'm sure that with a lot of the support of all of you, the Cuban women will advance even more and have the possibility to create a better Cuba for all the new generations. So the whole year, bloqueo no, bloqueo no.
Next, we have Maria Hernandez, from the National Secretariat, and she's of the Cuban Federation of Women, and she is responsible for international relations. She's going to be speaking in Spanish, and Martin Copel is going to be translating for us. So welcome, very much. Buenas noches. Queridas amigas y hermanos de lucha del pueblo cubano.
Dear friends, brothers and sisters in struggle of the Cuban people.
Les agradezco en nombre de todo el pueblo de Cuba y en particular de las más de 4 millones de mujeres que somos parte de la Federación de Mujeres Cubanas.
I thank you on behalf of the Cuban people, in particular of the more than 4 million women who are part of the Federation of Cuban Women.
Única organización que es muestra de una expresión de unidad de todo el pueblo, que continúa siendo una gran fortaleza unido a la solidaridad que usted ofrece.
It is a single organization across Cuba expressing the unity of our people, which continues to represent a great strength, together with the solidarity that you give us.
Hemos compartido con ustedes la intensa jornada de reclamo y de denuncia por el cese del injusto bloqueo económico, comercial y financiero impuesto hacia nuestro país y la salida o la exclusión de Cuba como país patrocinador del terrorismo.
We've been carrying out together with you, intense days of actions with demands and calls for the ending of the blockade, the removal of Cuba from the infamous list of state sponsors of terrorists.
Y yo me pregunto, ¿qué país que piensa en hacer terrorismo envía a sus médicos a cualquier rincón del planeta de manera desinteresada? Yo creo que ustedes tienen la respuesta.
I ask myself, what country that intended to carry out terrorism would send its doctors to all corners of the earth in such a selfless manner? I think you know the answer.
Como declara nuestro comandante en jefe Fidel Castro, quien estoy segura que estuviera muy orgulloso de lo que ustedes hacen por Cuba. Y yo lo voy a leer textualmente. Si nosotros hubiéramos cedido una sola vez a las exigencias imperialistas, la revolución cubana no existiría. Lo que ha frenado a los imperialistas es el heroísmo de nuestro pueblo. Es el precio que saben que tienen que pagar.
As our commander-in-chief Fidel used to alert us, and I'm sure he would be proud of what you are doing for Cuba. And I quote Fidel, if we had conceded just once to the demands of the imperialists, the Cuban Revolution would not exist. What has stayed the hand of the imperialists is the heroism of our people, the price they know they would have to pay.
El bloqueo constituye la peor forma de violencia ejercida contra nuestro pueblo. Se impide el flujo regular e institucional de las remesas a las familias cubanas. Ha propinado duros golpes al sector cuentapropista y obstaculiza los vínculos con los cubanos residentes en Estados Unidos, afectando la reunificación familiar.
For Cuban women, the blockade represents the worst form of violence against our people. It prevents the regular, normal sending of remittances to Cuban families. It has dealt harsh blows to the self-employed sector, and it hinders ties with Cubans living in the United States, affecting family reunification.
Se aplican restricciones a los viajes a Cuba y se incumplen los acuerdos migratorios bilaterales, incluyendo los visados, lo que suma más angustias a las familias.
In addition, restrictions on travel to Cuba have been imposed. Bilateral treaties on migration have been violated, including the issuance of visas, which means greater anguish for families.
Está demostrado que una amplia mayoría de los estadounidenses apoya el levantamiento del bloqueo y su libertad de viajar a la isla, y que los cubanos viven en este país también desean relaciones normales y el bienestar para todas sus familias.
It has been shown that a broad majority of Americans support the lifting of the blockade and the freedom to travel to the island, and that Cubans living in this country want normal relations and the well-being of their families.
La escasez, la inestabilidad de productos alimentarios imprescindibles generan sufrimiento y ansiedad en nuestros hogares, de forma particular a las mujeres, sobre las cuales todavía recae el peso de las tareas domésticas. En el desabastecimiento de las tiendas y el aumento desmedido de los precios, pese a esfuerzos ingentes de nuestro gobierno, impactan decisivamente también las medidas de endurecimiento del bloqueo en condiciones de pandemia y de crisis económica global.
The shortages and unstable supply of essential foodstuffs generate suffering and anxiety in our homes, especially for women on whom the burden of household work still falls. The intensification of the blockade, compounded by the pandemic and the global economic crisis, have had a major impact on the lack of goods available in the stores and the excessive prices, in spite of the enormous efforts by the government.
En el ámbito de la salud, persiste la imposibilidad de acceder a equipos, tecnologías, dispositivos, tratamientos y fármacos idóneos que se nos impide adquirir de compañías estadounidenses y que han de conseguirse a precios exorbitantes en terceros países. Existen restricciones para acceder a equipos de diagnóstico de alta tecnología para el estudio de las parejas infértiles y reactivos para los programas contra el cáncer cervicuterino, el cáncer de mama y dificultades también para acceder a anticonceptivos de última generación.
In healthcare, we remain unable to obtain equipment, technology, devices, treatments, and needed pharmaceutical products from U.S. companies. They are available only at exorbitant prices. We face restrictions on access to high-tech diagnostic equipment for infertile couples, and to chemicals needed for programs to treat cervical, uterine, and breast cancer, as well as difficulties obtaining the most recent kinds of contraceptives.
La vida de ninguna familia cubana escapa de los efectos de esta inhumana política. Nadie podría afirmar honestamente que no tiene un impacto real en la población.
No Cuban family escapes the effects of these inhumane policies. No one can honestly claim that they don't have a real impact on the population.
A las medidas del bloqueo se suma además una intensa campaña de injerencia política en los asuntos internos, con programas de subversión a los que el gobierno de los Estados Unidos dedica cada año decenas de millones de dólares del presupuesto federal y sumas adicionales de fondos encubiertos. El propósito es producir inestabilidad política y social en el contexto de las dificultades económicas que el propio gobierno de Estados Unidos causa a nuestro pueblo.
On top of the blockade, we face an intense campaign of political interference in our domestic affairs through subversion programs in which the U.S. government every year spends tens of millions of dollars from the federal budget plus additional covert funds. The purpose is to create political and social instability in the context of the economic difficulties caused by the U.S. government itself.
El bloqueo daña al pueblo cubano, pero también a los ciudadanos y sectores empresariales estadounidenses, privándolos de beneficios para la salud y el comercio, el derecho de visitar a Cuba en condición de turistas. Es el principal obstáculo para el desarrollo de las relaciones económicas, comerciales y financieras con los Estados Unidos y también con el resto del mundo por su carácter extraterritorial.
The blockade harms the Cuban people, but it also harms U.S. citizens and businesses, denying them benefits for healthcare and trade, as well as the right to visit Cuba as tourists. It's the main obstacle to the development of economic, trade, and financial relations with the U.S., as well as with the rest of the world because of its extraterritorial reach.
Sin embargo, Cuba desarrolla el principio de resistir creativamente y avanzar en la implementación del Plan Nacional de Desarrollo Económico y Social de nuestro país bajo el principio de juntar y vencer.
Cuba, however, is developing the principle of resisting creatively and is making progress in implementing the National Plan of Economic and Social Development under the banner of coming together to overcome.
Queridos hermanos y hermanas, agradecemos el esfuerzo de todos los que en estos tiempos difíciles se mantienen firmes frente al odio, frente a la manipulación y a la persecución política. Hagamos que los puentes de amor se multipliquen, que permitan lograr que sea posible hasta lo imposible. Soñar con una Cuba sin bloqueo no es difícil si están ustedes. Muchísimas gracias.
Dear brothers and sisters, we are grateful for the efforts made by all of you to, in these difficult times, remain steadfast in the face of hatred, manipulation, and political persecution. Let us multiply the bridges of love so that we can make possible even the impossible. To dream of a Cuba without a blockade is not hard if there is you, if you are there with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for those dynamic words. Now I'd like to introduce Camila Marcos of the Puerto Rican Nationalist Party to introduce Solimar Ortiz Casino.
There's been a tradition given to us by great historical figures such as Betances, Jose Martin, Arturo Schomburg, and Roland Rodriguez Castillo. Solidarity between Puerto Rico and Cuba. I will be introducing the next speaker, Solimar Ortiz Castillo, member of the Puerto Rico Solidarity Committee with Cuba, an organization that puts that tradition into practice. Solimar is also a member of the Poetas en Marcha and the deputy director of the Juan Luis Rivera Brigade. The brigade does yearly solidarity trips, from Puerto Rico to Cuba. The brigade has faced new rounds of harassment at the hands of the FBI since last year. The blockade and colonialism attempts to break the brother and sisterhood between our nations. The FBI harassments are meant to illegalize that natural bond that exists between our nations and the natural bond that exists between all working people in the world. With that in mind, it is a great pleasure to welcome Solimar Ortiz Justino from the Puerto Rican Solidarity Committee with Cuba to end the blockade.
Qué lindo verlos a todos aquí. Buenas noches. Good evening. Saludos a todas las personas presentes en esta conferencia y aquellas que nos siguen por el internet. Excusamos a la presidenta del Comité de Solidaridad con Cuba, la compañera Milagros Rivera, por no haber podido asistir en esta ocasión, pero les reiteramos el compromiso del Comité de Solidaridad con Cuba de Puerto Rico en apoyar todas las gestiones y resoluciones que de este encuentro surjan para avanzar en la solidaridad con Cuba.
Greetings to all the people present at this conference and those who are following us on the internet. The President of the Committee of Solidarity with Cuba, Compañera Milagros Rivera, apologizes for not being able to attend on this occasion, but we reiterate the commitment of the Committee of Solidarity with Cuba of Puerto Rico to support all the efforts and resolutions that arise from this meeting to advance solidarity with Cuba.
Hablar de la solidaridad entre Puerto Rico y Cuba sería remontarnos a más de un siglo de historia que no se puede cubrir en pocos minutos. Desde que se iniciaron las luchas por las independencias de nuestras patrias y comenzaron las acciones libertadoras, muchos de nuestros próceres puertorriqueños y cubanos se cruzaron cartas, se concertaron encuentros, se orquestaron innumerables acciones para conseguir la emancipación nacional. Estamos hablando de grandes hombres y mujeres como José Martí, Ramón Bartoriotti de Castro, Ramón Emeterio Betances, Antonio Maceo, Juan Ríos Rivera, Lola Rodríguez de Dios y muchas más.
To speak about solidarity between Puerto Rico and Cuba would be recounting more than a century of history that cannot be covered in a few minutes. Since the beginning of the struggles for independence of our homelands and the commencement of liberating actions, many of our heroes, Puerto Ricans and Cubans, exchanged letters, arranged meetings, and orchestrated innumerable actions to achieve national emancipation. We are talking about great men and women such as José Martí, Ramón Emeterio Betances, Antonio Maceo, Juan Ríos Rivera, Lola Rodríguez de Pío, and many more.
Durante la Guerra de Independencia Cubana del 1895, organizada por José Martí, prevaleció una visión antillanista y muchos puertorriqueños lucharon junto a los cubanos en las manicuas cubanas y allí derramaron su sangre por una causa que consideramos común. No es de sorprender que se mantenga la promesa en tierra cubana que siempre Cuba estará unida a la causa de la descolonización e independencia de Puerto Rico y la solidaridad con Cuba.
During the Cuban War of Independence of 1895, organized by José Martí, an Antillean vision prevailed, and many Puerto Ricans fought alongside Cubans in Cuba's mountains. And there they shed their blood for what they consider to be a common cause. It's not surprising that the promise continues to be fulfilled, that Cuba will always join the cause of the decolonization and independence of Puerto Rico and mutual solidarity.
Siguiendo esta ruta antillana y de resistencia frente al imperio, surge el Comité de Solidaridad con Cuba el 18 de septiembre de 1992.
Following this Antillean path of resistance against the empire, the Committee in Solidarity with Cuba was founded in Puerto Rico on September 18, 1992.
Estaba en la mira de estos fundadores, hombres y mujeres, promover los logros de la Revolución cubana y realizar una amplia campaña contra el criminal bloqueo impuesto a Cuba por el gobierno de los Estados Unidos. No podemos ignorar que para esta época surge lo que se decretó como el periodo especial, el cual implicaba la multiplicación de los sacrificios y aumentar los esfuerzos para seguir la construcción del proyecto del socialismo que garantizara los derechos humanos fundamentales de toda la ciudadanía cubana, romper el círculo mediático que demonizaba la revolución cubana en Puerto Rico, formó parte de esa agenda solidaria.
One of the objectives of the committee's founders was to promote the achievements of the Cuban Revolution and carry out an extensive campaign against the criminal blockade imposed in Cuba by the United States government. We cannot ignore that the blockade intensified during that was called the special period, resulting in the greater sacrifices and increasing efforts to continue the construction of the socialist project, which guaranteed the fundamental human rights of all Cuban citizens. Breaking the media circle that demonized the Cuban Revolution in Puerto Rico was part of the solidarity agenda.
Desde su fundación hasta el presente, el Comité de Solidaridad con Cuba en Puerto Rico ha enfocado sus esfuerzos en varios objetivos que ha cumplido y acrecentado hasta el día de hoy. La mejor muestra de ello es la Brigada Juan Ríos Rivera, que este año viajará en su edición número 32, desafiando las leyes imperiales que se nos imponen por la condición colonial a 125 años de la invasión yanqui a Cuba y a Puerto Rico y a los 70 del Moncada. Vamos para Cuba en un gran junte solidario.
From its foundation to the present, the Committee in Solidarity with Cuba and Puerto Rico has focused its efforts on various objectives that it has fulfilled and increased to this day. The best example of this is the Juan Ríos Rivera Brigade, which this year will travel for the 32nd time, challenging the imperial laws that are imposed on us due to our colonial status. 125 years after the Yankee invasion of Cuba and Puerto Rico, and on the 70th anniversary of the Blockade. We are going to Cuba in a great solidarity gathering.
Hemos logrado hacer mantener la relación entre Cuba y Puerto Rico mediante diversas formas de lucha. En Puerto Rico siempre ha habido hermandad y amistad con Cuba. Desde la constitución del Comité en 1992 se ha desarrollado una amplia campaña informática por medio de charlas, foros, opúsculos informativos, un canal de YouTube, una revista digital llamada Somos Caribe y un programa televisivo que se transmite en Cuba y se replica en los medios digitales. Hemos defendido los espacios culturales y deportivos de Cuba en Puerto Rico y el derecho de los puertorriqueños a intercambiar con Cuba sin restricciones.
We have managed to maintain the relationship between Cubans and Puerto Ricans through various forms of struggle. In Puerto Rico, there has always been brotherhood and friendship with Cuba. Since the formation of the committee in 1992, we have developed an extensive informational campaign through talks, forums, informational literature, a YouTube channel, a digital magazine called Somos Caribe, and a television program that is broadcast in Cuba and replicated through digital media. We have defended cultural and sports spaces for Cuba in Puerto Rico and the right of Puerto Ricans to carry out inter-exchanges with Cuba without restrictions.
También se ha defendido el derecho del pueblo cubano a la soberanía y autodeterminación en sus proyectos políticos, económicos y sociales. Enérgicamente se condena de forma militante la intervención, el hostigamiento y el bloqueo impuesto por el gobierno de los Estados Unidos contra Cuba. Siempre se ha mantenido una campaña de visibilización del bloqueo en todos los rincones del país. Incluso se ha logrado expresiones de sectores no independentistas condenando el bloqueo, como lo fueron varias asambleas municipales, organizaciones sindicales, entre otras.
We have also defended the right of the Cuban people to their sovereignty and self-determination of their political, economic, and social project. We strongly and militantly condemn intervention, harassment, and blockade posed by the United States government against Cuba. We have always maintained, I think, plenty of visibility around the blockade in all corners of our country. This includes obtaining public condemnations of the blockade from non-independent sectors, such as municipal assemblies and union organizations, to name two examples.
Somos miembros fundadores de la Red Continental Latinoamericana y Caribeña de Solidaridad con Cuba y todas las causas justas para ejercer de la manera más coordinada las acciones de apoyo a Cuba. Contribuimos de manera significativa en la campaña de donaciones para Cuba en medio de la pandemia, destacándose el aporte de Puerto Rico a 500,000 de jeringuillas para Cuba, a pesar del bloqueo. Cada 17 de mes realizamos acciones contra el bloqueo como parte de las acciones continentales.
We are founders of the Latin American Caribbean Continental Network of Solidarity with Cuba and work with all the just causes to act in a more coordinated way to support Cuba. We contribute significantly to the campaign of donations for Cuba and pandemic, highlighting the contribution of Puerto Rico to sending 500,000 syringes for Cuba, despite the blockade. Every 17th day of the month, we participate in actions against the blockade as part of continental activities.
Es con este quehacer que se contrarresta la campaña anticomunista y anticubana que se promueve en Puerto Rico, fomentando con ellos el análisis objetivo de esos procesos y divulgando los avances del socialismo en Cuba.
It's with this work that we are countering the anti-communist and anti-Cuban campaign that is promoted in Puerto Rico, thereby promoting the objective analysis of that process and publicizing the advances of socialism in Cuba.
Defendemos con nuestra práctica la unidad y la solidaridad entre los pueblos contra el capitalismo y el imperialismo. Desarrollamos proyectos de solidaridad material y organizamos una amplia red de solidaridad con Cuba en Puerto Rico. Fomentamos los viajes a Cuba sin menoscabar el proyecto de la brigada. con el cual se construye, que cada año se construye anualmente. Se ha logrado que más de 2,000 boricuas desafíen la prohibición de viajar a Cuba con la brigada. Lo hemos desafiado todo en la solidaridad con Cuba.
We defend through our practice the unity and solidarity among peoples against capitalism and imperialism. We develop projects of material solidarity and organize an extensive network of solidarity with Cuba in Puerto Rico. We promote trips to Cuba without undermining the project of Blockade, to which we are constantly contributing. With this work, we have made it possible for more than 2,000 Boricuas to challenge the prohibition of travel to Cuba. We have challenged everything in our solidarity work with Cuba.
Mantenemos comunicación y fraternal relación con otros grupos solidarios con Cuba en Puerto Rico, Estados Unidos, Latinoamérica, el Caribe y otros países.
We maintain communication and fraternal relationships with other solidarity groups with Cuba in Puerto Rico, the United States, Latin America, the Caribbean, and other countries.
Promovemos y coordinamos trabajos y actividades comunitarias a favor de Cuba con otras organizaciones en Puerto Rico. Desarrollamos mecanismos educativos para nuestros afiliados y colaboradores. Apoyamos todas las causas justas en nuestro país y muy en particular las causas de las clases trabajadoras, las mujeres y las juventudes.
We promote and coordinate unifying work and activities in favor of Cuba with other organizations in Puerto Rico. We develop educational mechanisms for our affiliates and collaborators. We support all just causes in our country, and in particular the causes of the working class, women, and youth.
En mi experiencia, en el tiempo que llevo militando en el Comité de Solidaridad con Cuba en Puerto Rico, puedo reseñar que fueron las palabras del presidente del Partido Independentista puertorriqueño, el licenciado Juan Dalmao, una firme y clara declaración de que desde el comité ha sido un espacio donde todas las organizaciones políticas, sociales y culturales de Puerto Rico convergen y se alinean por un solo bien y un bien común. Y es que, aunque existan nuestras diferencias, la trayectoria inequívoca, combativa y firme del comité ha sentado precedentes históricos en Puerto Rico, pues nunca ha claudicado en su finalidad: mantener, proteger y acrecentar la solidaridad entre Cuba y Puerto Rico. Y nuestros mejores testigos es el FBI, quien se ha empeñado en perseguirnos para desalentar la solidaridad con Cuba. No lo ha logrado y no lo logrará.
In my experience, in the time I have been active in the committee in solidarity with Cuba in Puerto Rico, I can point out that in a firm and clear statement by the president of the Puerto Rican Independence Party, Juan Dalmau, our committee has been a space where all political, social, and cultural organizations of Puerto Rico converge and align themselves for a common good. And it's a fact that while there may be differences, the unequivocal, combative, and firm trajectory of the community has set historical precedents in Puerto Rico, since it has never given up its purpose to maintain, protect, and increase solidarity between Cuba and Puerto Rico. And our best witness is the FBI, which has insisted on harassing us to discourage solidarity with Cuba. They haven't achieved their goal, and they will never achieve it.
Nuestra estrategia Nuestra estrategia va en ascenso. Defendemos a Cuba porque defendemos la vida, los logros de la revolución en la salud, la educación, deporte, seguridad social, culturales y bienestar para el pueblo. Es lo que defendemos para que un día Puerto Rico sea libre y nos sumemos a un mundo de paz y equidad.
Our strategy is on the rise. We defend Cuba because we defend life. The achievements of the revolution, health, education, sports, social and cultural security, and well-being for the people is what we defend. So that one day, Puerto Rico will be free and we can join a world of peace and equity.
A ustedes, que de manera valiente realizan actividades a favor de Cuba desde las entrañas del monstruo, a nombre del Comité de Solidaridad con Cuba en Puerto Rico, gracias por invitarnos y por tomar en cuenta nuestra voz. Les reiteramos que la solidaridad jamás será bloqueada.
To you who bravely carry out activities in favor of Cuba here from inside the belly of the beast, on behalf of the Committee in Solidarity with Cuba in Puerto Rico, we thank you for inviting us and for recognizing our voice. We reiterate that solidarity will never be blockaded. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sonia. Thank you for we do have our final speaker, and then DJ Spirit Child is going to help us with cleaning up the space together. I want to invite up Judy Sheridan Gonzalez, former president of the New York State Nurses Union Association, a working nurse, and a leader in organizing delegations of U.S. Union nurses to Cuba. Judy Sheridan Gonzalez has carried out the work of U.S.-Cuba normalization and has been a strong voice in U.S. labor for the normalization of relations between the United States and Cuba and an end to the criminal blockade. Please welcome our final speaker for tonight, Judy Sheridan Gonzalez.
Yo quiero decir que viva Puerto Rico libre y socialista un día. Well, it's definitely an honor. I was wondering, why are they asking me to speak here tonight? I'm not used to speaking to friends or people who agree with me. Very often I speak to people. We have 42,000 members in my union, and it's very important to transmit information to people who have been brainwashed, who live under the impression that Cuba's a terrorist nation. And how do we do that? How do we do that? One of the things that we do in our union, we do missions, we do medical missions of solidarity all over the world. Volunteering, nurses volunteer, we send thousands of nurses all over to deliver health care. After disasters, we were in Puerto Rico after Maria many times. And we also go to another country where we don't have to do that because they have such a great health system. And that's cool. We go there to learn, we go there to interchange, and we go there to share. And we go there because it's really important that our members are exposed to something that counteracts the lies that they're taught all their lives. When we go to Cuba, they speak to people, they see the healthcare system, and opens their eyes that there's something else, that a better world is possible. And that's what happens. We have waiting lists now to go there from people who are not taught to understand the things that we understand. And the love that they see and the joys and the interchange is remarkable.
we learn from them. In other countries, we have to deliver care. There we don't have to do it. We learn how care is delivered in the most excellent way possible. And it contradicts that narrative that's been so distorted and so misrepresented by a government motivated by its dreaded fear that maybe concepts of equity and socialism might be attractive to the people here. Well, guess what? The obscenities of this unbridled capitalism have changed things. People are protesting, especially our youth, and thinking maybe socialism is not so bad. Maybe equality is not so bad. Maybe there's a different kind of society that we can build. Meantime, the socialist experiment that our southern neighbor began more than 2 generations ago has persisted, despite every equal manner of intervention within our country, that the forces within our country, the most powerful economic and military nation in the world, have relentlessly engaged in to destroy it. And they have failed. They have failed. But what we have to explain to our members is to understand the current state, the situation in Cuba today, in the context of the blockade, in the context of all of these foreign interventions, military, political, economic, environmental, and social. The pressures on other nations, especially in Latin America, to isolate, to demonize Cuba, and cause untold suffering of the people of Cuba right now. And that's why it's a moral imperative to end the blockade against Cuba, a moral imperative. And still, Cuba survives as a nation struggling to play its revolutionary role as it can internally and internationally, but with many hardships. It's heartbreaking for us to see the pioneering, exquisite healthcare system face these challenges, shortages, lack of materials, and all these seductive possibilities for people to leave to make money after getting all this education there, with all the propaganda that's being distributed. Because we have to expose the lies of the US, the narrative that professes to have heartfelt humanitarian concerns. Look at Ukraine, they have such humanitarian concerns there. And instead of doing anything to end that war, they just sell more weapons, because we know what that's about. It's about weapon sales that benefit the manufacture of annihilation, even as it increases the misery of the people there. And you have to wonder, where are these humanitarian concerns when it comes to the people of Palestine, when it comes to the people of Sudan, of Yemen, of the poor and the people of color in this own nation, or to destroy Cuba? Where are these humanitarian concerns? These are the things we have to expose, and that's the kind of work that we do. The opportunism and racism of the US strategic platform is overarching, and its decades-long goal to destroy Cuba has failed, but the ongoing results in human costs are unconscionable. So we know it's time to end these hostilities, end the blockade, stop this fantastic narrative of Cuba as a terrorist nation. Who's the terrorist nation? You know who it is? And open the gates to friendship and understanding. Imagine a time when we can share our collective understandings, our research, our ideas about how to make the world a better place, a habitable place, an egalitarian place, a place in which people can forge understandings through interchange and camaraderie. That's the vision. And that's the concept that drives the caravans, the friendship visits, the delegations, and the opposition to a policy that has only led to animosity and grief. We see a nation, it's not perfect, but it's trying to make a difference. And that's what our healthcare delegations found when we visited. And the love exchange in our interpersonal interactions was powerful and shared among other people, which is why we have our waiting list. But this is also the concept that drives progressive labor and community struggles here in the US. We strive to promote transparency, democracy, and attempts to level the playing field and to improve the quality of life. But we can't do that in this country if we don't create class consciousness. And with that in mind, in January, 7,000 nurses at 2 hospitals, Montefiore in the Bronx and Mount Sinai in Manhattan, engaged in the most historic nurses strike ever took place in the history of the community. We crushed the corporate healthcare systems that have been exploiting our people for decades, proving that without the healthcare workers, there is no hospital,
Without workers, there is no functioning institution. And that with our numbers and our resolve, we beat their money and we can truly shut it down, and we shut it down. We created that class consciousness. People were aware of it. They were also aware of their power. We exposed the for-profit healthcare system as dysfunctional and uncaring, and will continue that struggle until we have achieved a system of quality healthcare for all people, a system that exposes the lie that profits have any place in our healthcare system. In nuestro modelo, that is our model of healthcare. And what are our weapons? Our weapons are knowledge, analysis, organization, and commitment, and an unbridled respect for all human beings, for all living things, and an understanding that the right to live in peace, health, and dignity is one of the most sacred rights of all. Interchange among and between the people of the US and Cuba is one goal in our lifelong struggle to create a better tomorrow for all people. La lucha continúa, venceremos.
So, that's it. That's our program for this week. We're gonna wrap it out. DJ Spirit time. Grab a chair, stack it up. And remember that our clocks are changing. Our clocks are changing tonight. So don't be late tomorrow, 11 a.m. Back at Part of Law School. Discuss our plan of action to defeat the stigma of Blockade. If the Latina Cuba down, Cuba on the we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.